One morning, you wake up and his food bowl is exactly where you left it. Full. Untouched. You search the house. The usual spots. The couch. The corner by the back door. And then you find him. Under the bed. Still, not sleeping. Just hiding. And when your eyes meet his, he looks away. That moment, that specific moment. Most dog owners know it. And the question that comes with it isn't about the food. It isn't even about him. It's about you. It's the one you've been afraid to ask, does my dog know what's about to happen? For a long time, the answer people gave was simple. Dogs wander off. They get anxious. They distance themselves because instinct tells them to. And that explanation felt almost clinical, almost cold. But the truth is far more layered and in some ways far more beautiful. And because what your dog is doing in those final days isn't withdrawal. It isn't confusion. It is, in the most profound sense, a form of communication. One that science is only beginning to fully translate. In 2021, philosopher Susana Monceau at the University of Madrid published a study in the journal Urgentis. She proposed something that shifted the way many researchers understood animal cognition. Among many species, she argued, dogs possess a minimal concept of death. Not an abstract philosophical awareness. Not a countdown. But something more immediate. Something more honest. They feel the shift in their own body. The walks that used to be effortless now take everything. The appetite that never failed them fades. The energy they once had, that boundless pull toward everything and everyone they loved, quietly recedes. They don't know the word for what's happening, but they feel the change. And here's where it gets extraordinary. They can smell it. Your dog's nose contains roughly 300 million olfactory receptors. Yours has about 6 million. That difference isn't just impressive. It is, in this context, deeply significant. In California, 5 ordinary household dogs were trained to detect lung cancer from human breath samples. The accuracy rate? 99%. Not an estimate. Not a rough figure. 99. And in 2024, researchers at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center demonstrated that dogs could detect cancer in the saliva of other dogs with 90% sensitivity. Now think about what that means for your dog. Every breath he takes, he is analyzing his own chemical signature. Every shift in his body chemistry, every compound that changes as illness progresses. He registers it, not as a diagnosis, not as a concept, but as a feeling. A knowing that something inside him is no longer the same. And here's what most people don't realize. That knowing changes everything about how he behaves in those final days. Some dogs go quiet. They find a corner. They stop seeking. They withdraw from the people they love most. And others do the opposite. They press against you. They follow you from room to room. They rest their head on your lap for hours at a time, as if they are trying to memorize the weight of you. Most people read the first as sadness, and the second as love. But science offers an answer that is both more precise and more moving than either of those words. In 1988, Benjamin Hart at the UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine published a paper that became foundational to understanding sick animals. He found that isolation, reduced appetite, increased sleep, and social withdrawal are not signs of surrender. They are evolutionary, inherited over thousands of years, hardwired. When a dog withdraws, he is not giving up. He is doing the opposite. He is redirecting every ounce of available energy toward fighting. Hart called it the animal's total effort to overcome. A biological response so complete, so total, that even social connection gets temporarily set aside. Because surviving in that moment demands everything. But there's a second layer, one that reaches back even further. In ancient times, when dogs were closer to wolves than to the animals we share our homes with, and sick or aging members of the pack would distance themselves, not out of despair, out of devotion, to prevent the spread of illness, to avoid slowing the group, to protect the ones they loved by removing themselves from the equation. Whether your dog pulls away or presses closer, the biological root is the same. Protection, loyalty, A bond so deep it expresses itself even in its final form. When a dog is afraid, he runs to you. When he is certain, he steps back to look out for you. The direction changes. The love does not. Now here's something that rarely gets discussed outside of veterinary literature. And it should. Specialists draw a clear line between two very different behaviors. Sudden, intense attachment combined with restlessness, panting, or inability to settle often signals uncontrolled pain. That is always worth a call to your vet. Always. But the quiet, steady closeness, the dog who simply wants to be near you, that is not desperation. That is trust. The deepest kind there is. And then there's the rally. You may have seen it, or heard of it. A dog who has barely moved in days suddenly gets up, eats, wags his tail, visits every person in the house one by one, walks to the yard to the spot he hasn't reached in months, and for an hour, maybe two, he seems himself again, completely, fully himself. And then he's gone. This is known as the terminal lucidity, or the last rally. And for a long time, no one had a satisfying explanation for it. In 2023, a group of researchers cataloged 114 documented accounts from owners and veterinarians. One vet recalled being called to perform euthanasia, and only to be greeted at the door by a dog barking and jumping, as if nothing had ever been wrong. Around the same time, a team led by Jimmo Borgigan at the University of Michigan found something remarkable. When the brain loses oxygen during cardiac arrest, it doesn't simply go dark, it surges. A final burst of organized gamma wave activity fires in the posterior cortex. A last attempt at coherence. A last reaching toward consciousness. The science doesn't yet give us a clean answer for what the dog experiences in that moment. But here is what we know. He uses that final energy to eat what he wants, to find the people he loves, to press his face against yours one more time. The science can explain the mechanism. The meaning, you already know. This is the part that is hardest to talk about, and the part that matters most. Some people make the decision to choose euthanasia. It is never easy. It is never without grief. But it is, when there are no other paths left, one of the most loving things a person can do for their dog. A single carefully administered dose quiets the brain and the system. Consciousness fades within seconds. Research published in 2015 by Monica Ailman and her team at UC Davis confirmed that animals lose awareness approximately 52 seconds after injection, drifting into a state that resembles deep sleep. They do not feel the moment they leave. There may be movements afterward, muscle responses, sounds that are frightening to witness. But they are not signs of suffering. They are physiological, automatic. Your dog is already gone. The heart can continue for up to 16 minutes, but he is already gone. And he was not afraid. Studies conducted at Freie Universität Berlin monitored stress markers in dogs during euthanasia. In over 40% of cases observed, stress indicators remained low throughout the process. Whether the owner was present or not, whether they were at home or at the clinic. The concept of what was happening had no meaning to them. There was no anticipation, no dread. But here is what did matter, and this is the part I want you to hold on to. Research by Gregory Burns at Emory University, using fMRI imaging, showed that the caudate nucleus, the part of the brain associated with reward and positive anticipation, activates more strongly in response to the scent of a familiar owner than to anything else. Not food, not other dogs, not toys. You. And that activation happens even when you are not in the room. The scent alone is enough. In those final seconds of consciousness, if you are there, your scent is registered. Your voice is registered. The warmth of your hand on their fur is registered. In the exact part of the brain that stores safety, that stores love, that stores everything good. You are the last thing they experience. Not the fear, not the pain, not the cold table or the unfamiliar room. You. The science on this is not ambiguous. Your presence in that moment is not just meaningful, it is the single most important gift you can give them. And then, grief arrives. Not the passing kind, the kind that sits in the house. In the silence where the sound of them used to be. In the food bowl you don't know what to do with. In the reflex to call their name before you remember. A 2016 study published in PLOS 1, led by Philip Hyland at Maynooth University in Ireland, evaluated 975 people who had lost a pet. Using clinical criteria for prolonged grief disorder, 7.5% met the full diagnostic threshold. A national RSPCA survey found that 75% of owners begin grieving before their pet even passes. Anticipatory grief, mourning someone who is still here, and more than half of those people hid how they truly felt, because the world around them didn't take it seriously. Psychologists call it disenfranchised grief, the loss that society tells you isn't proportional, isn't real, isn't worth the weight you're giving it. But your brain doesn't take direction from social norms. Researchers from Harvard and Massachusetts General Hospital scanned the brains of mothers looking at photos of their children, and then photos of their dogs, and the same neural network fired. The amygdala, the orbitofrontal cortex, the emotional core of the brain responding to attachment, not species. The bond between you and your dog is written in hormones, in synchronized heart rates, in cortisol patterns that mirror each other, in gut bacteria literally shared from years of living in the same space, breathing the same air, sleeping in the same rooms. When that is gone, grief is not sentiment. It is your nervous system registering the loss of something it had become biologically organized around. That deserves to be honored, not minimized, not explained away. Here is what the science says when you put all of it together. Your dog did not spend his final days in fear. He did not lie awake counting what was left. He did not understand endings the way we do. What he carried instead was a neurological portrait of you, stored in his reward circuits, activated by your scent, reinforced by every morning, every walk, every quiet evening he spent pressed against you. You were not just his owner, you were his favorite experience. Across every day of his life, that's not poetry, that's what the brain scans show. And everything you gave him, the ordinary days, the unremarkable evenings, the times you were tired but still sat with him on the floor, all of it built something that veterinary science would classify as a life of positive welfare. Not because every day was extraordinary, but because the balance was overwhelmingly good. You gave him that. If this is happening now, be there. Your presence matters down to the neurochemistry. If it has already happened, and you are still carrying the weight of it, that weight is exactly proportional to what you meant to each other. That is not weakness. That is the cost of having been someone's entire world. If this video reached you at the right moment, or helped you understand something you have been trying to find words for, subscribe to this channel. And tell me in the comments, was there a moment with your dog you will never forget? A last rally, a final afternoon, a quiet goodbye you didn't realize was a goodbye until later? I want to hear it. There is so much more your dog was trying to tell you across every day of his life. And we are just beginning to translate it.